You okay? Live from New York. It's a show that's very serious.
Brew is locked in today.
You're in trouble.
He reviewed the tape yesterday, saw he got worked over 7 of 8 segments, and now he's coming to go.
First things first. Today, Aaron Rodgers. What are his chances that he can bring home a 5th MVP?
Wow.
Meanwhile, in a new episode, a show within a show, we debut a show called Give Me a Break. Give me a break with this. And finally, the debut of the QB pyramid.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't think that's a good tease, if we want to redo it.
You know what?
Who's the top is not a question.
We know who's at top.
We know, of course, everyone knows who's at the top, but who's right in the next level?
Yeah.
The next
Let's redo it and say, who's on the next level?
Show's live.
Because that is
Can't
controversial.
redo it.
For the West Coast.
Oh,
West Coast free air. But we're going to start with Rodgers' revelations. He sat down with Peter King and talked about how he was really considering retiring prior to his darkness retreat. I want to retire. That's how I was leaning. Now, he said this to Pat McAfee a few months ago, but he reiterated it here. He's having a blast now. So, Nick, are you surprised that he was close to retiring with everything you know now?
No, I'm not surprised because I don't believe it.
Oh.
And I hesitate to say anyone's lying, but this doesn't track. None of this tracks. So what we are to believe from Aaron Rodgers is that he was 90% retired. He has reiterated that. And then did the darkness retreat, came out and decided, okay, not retiring, and I want to be a Packer.
Yeah.
That was the other thing.
Yeah, but
I want to be a Packer. The reason it doesn't track is what we know. Aaron's thoughts and wants and desires, you just got to take his word for it, or you can not believe him. But what we know is, a year ago, people were like, oh, he might go to the Broncos. He might demand a trade. Instead, he got, and what he seemingly wanted, was a brand new contract. For a player that a year ago was even contemplating retirement, brand new contract would be the least important thing. Mm-hmm. In fact, he might want to go in the other direction of, don't worry about my contract, let's get Devontae locked up for another year, don't trade him, because I might be retiring. Also, we know after this season, this past season that just ended, he was very difficult to get a hold of for the Packers.
That's a service
and
thing.
didn't
But
really
nobody can get him at his house.
Okay, yeah.
FaceTime.
But also
everybody knows that.
But they said that he talked about how LaFleur or Gutekunst, pardon me, came to the West Coast and was trying to make time, but they didn't make time. Also, we know that in January, the Jets hired Nat Hackett, January 28th, darkness retreat, all of that. And we know from Rodgers' own admission, he and Hackett are incredibly close. Mm-hmm. And so to me, what this feels like is Rodgers trying to, again, make football fans believe the reason I'm not a Packer is because the Packers screwed it up. The Packers didn't want me. I think Rodgers deeply believes, as he should, I'm going to be awesome this year. The team's going to be awesome this year. And it will further stick it to the Packers that you guys screwed it up. You could have had me.
Again, he's got to wear it. All right. But I agree with you. It doesn't track. Because if you were 90% retired and then, he told Peter King that he was going to play for the Packers and, he comes out and finds out they don't want him. I mean, there was a lot there to make you, if you were 90% sure, to maybe push you over the edge, especially coming off your last year, your worst year of your career. All right, you didn't even make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You're in an organization you didn't really like and enjoy and want to play for. Now, one thing I will say is maybe the Packers' treatment of him, when he comes out and he finds out they've been shopping him and all that stuff, maybe that. He's a guy that's motivated by slights. He's motivated. He loves having a chip on his shoulder. Maybe that woke him up. What? And why else would he love the Jets so much? Like, he loves the Jets.
Well, but I think for the reasons that you like the Jets a lot.
Well, he loves the Jets, though. Now I get Hackett's there. Maybe, okay.
Wiles, I understand it's circumstantial evidence, but the Jets stayed out of any Lamar Jackson discussions. They were very tepid in any Derek Carr stuff. We all knew they had to have a quarterback. They stayed away from the Jimmy Garoppolo stuff. They hire his favorite coach ever. It feels like as early as February, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets was a train moving down the tracks. Mm-hmm. It is very difficult for me to believe that it was just a happy coincidence, because Aaron Rodgers was going to retire, and then, okay, was not going to retire, 90% retired him, not, I'll just go back with the Packers, everything will be fine. Oh, but you guys are shopping. I just don't buy it. I think this was a train that had been in motion for a while.
Also discussed his $35 million pay cut, saying, quote, I thought it was important they knew how committed I was. And in my conversations with Joe Douglas, he has made it very clear the vision for the football team. Big names move at the trade deadline now. I wanted to make sure that if somebody valuable came available, that we'd be able to get him. I'm very happy with the contract. Drew, do you think Aaron has proven how committed he is?
You know where I'm at on this.
And you love him now.
He's all in. He is completely in. He gave up $35 million, Wiles.
That's true.
No one in the history of American sports has done that.
Maybe America in general.
Right. I mean, it's
no.
On a maybe. On a maybe. And maybe somebody will become available at the trade deadline. Yeah. He gave up $35 million on a maybe. Now, look, I thought all of the talk about the lonely trophy and how grateful he is to be a Jet, I thought it was all poppycock. All right, but
go ahead, nothing. You're just an old man sometimes. So poppycock.
But anyway, poppycock was the perfect word.
Oh, you're right.
That's what I thought it was.
You are a wordsmith. Go ahead.
But I believe him now. I totally believe him. I mean, he is. You give up that much money, and he's got reason to, because the team could be really good.
So before I even get to the Aaron Rodgers thing, Wilds, do you realize what's happened to our dear Broussard?
He's all in on the Jets.
Bruise Nets have become Bruise Jets, as the Nets have disintegrated.
Because they rhyme, because it rhymes.
And because you need a New York adjacent team to attack. I just feel like that's what's happening. I feel like we are seeing.
He's trying to push me to pick them to win it all.
And I don't have to push you anywhere. It seems like you really love this team. Here's the thing. I am going to be very consistent. I do think Aaron has handled this offseason A+. Mm-hmm. I thought he did a great job with the press conference. He backed it up by showing up to the OTAs. He backed it up by ingratiating himself with his teammates, giving the money back. Maybe its impact is being overstated, but maybe it's not. Maybe they do get an excellent player because of it, but it's certainly a selfless thing, and it certainly could help the team and can't hurt the team. So I buy all of that. Unfortunately, and now just to go back, let's say I believed Aaron Rodgers about being 90% retired. Well, then by his own timeline, he is a very fickle person about his career at this point. He can go from almost retired to unretired to a Packer to a Jet. So if right now, this moment, he says, I want to be here for multiple years.
Oh, the multiple years thing is.
Because
that's what I think this is talking about. He's obviously all in on this season, but he has, over the last few weeks, up to and including today, he has made it clear that he's like, yeah, things can happen, injuries can happen, but they gave up a lot for me. This not to just be a one-year thing. I think that can change very quickly. I think if this year goes poorly, if he gets banged around as much as I think you believe he will because of the offensive line issues and the strength of the front sevens within that division in particular, I am not at all certain he's the Jets quarterback next year. But I do think he has been a great Jet, like in his very brief tenure, and done the right thing.
I think he intends on being their quarterback for at least 2 years. Yes. And if it goes badly, like let's say he's just washed, like we saw last year, and he's even worse, they may not even want him back for another year.
They're going to want him back.
If he's that bad, they win 8 games.
Oh, they'll 8 games be their best season in a decade. Yeah. They would 100% want him back.
One more than they won with Zach Wilson and Mike White.
Guys moved at the trade deadline last year. Calvin Ridley, Kadarius Toney, your guy. McCaffrey got moved. Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. Do you think there's any issue, since he was talking specifically about the trade deadline, getting a guy? Do you think that guy, if you're Joe Douglas, has to be an offensive guy?
No. I don't think so. I don't think that's what he was implying, and I don't think that's what I think it was just to help the team. And that is where I will give Aaron credit in that I do think his objectives are aligned exactly with the team right now for the first time probably in a long time of his career.
Buckle up.
Where he does truly just want to win and he does want to have the best pieces around on both sides of the ball. I buy that entirely. I just don't think they're good enough. I don't think he's good enough anymore. I don't think the roster's good enough. I don't think the head coach is good enough in order for these things to happen. But I don't think he's being phony about this at all.
Wow.
What?
I'm just amazed. I'm amazed that you think Aaron Rodgers is all in and they're not going to be very good.
Yeah, he's
I get you. I think inside you do think they're going to be good. You don't want to have the Patriots be last in the division.
I don't think they're going to be good.
Really? Yeah. You think the Patriots are going to be better than them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
But go ahead.
I just think you're sticking to your guns, and I like that.
No, they've got a great defense. Again, we beat them twice last year. And then, but they got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they got
Bailey Zappi took Aaron Rodgers to overtime in Lambeau. Well, it is what it is.
Zappi's a good player.
Zappi's excellent.
Zappi's a good player.
He's a great player. Let's take a look at MVP odds. All quarterbacks up there. One Prince, excuse me.
Yeah, thank you.
Rodgers coming in at 8.
Not a Prince.
Huge goatee.
Really?
Just massive.
You're right about that.
All right, so Brew, this would be his 5th MVP. It would tie him with Peyton for the record. Could you see this happening?
Well, look, you guys know when it comes to dark horse MVPs, I'm excellent at
You're
predicting.
unparalleled.
Jameis Winston was not alive before he got hurt.
No.
He was 5-2.
No,
14 touchdowns, 3 picks.
No, okay.
He
Go
was
ahead.
alive, and
Go
they
ahead.
were winning.
Go ahead.
Good pick.
Dark horse is the right
Came
word.
back from that injury.
Now, I'm not saying he's
over him, but go ahead.
not a favorite.
No.
By any stretch. But dark horse, absolutely.
Why?
One, the team could be very good. If he's not washed, if he's 85% of the player he was 2 years ago, 90% of that player, they got a good chance, I'd say, to win the division. We'll see if I pick them, but I'm saying they have a chance. The defense is solid. You got a great receiver in Garrett Wilson, and I think a nice receiving core overall. Good running backs. Yeah. And here's the thing, Nick, and you've talked here. All right, come back here from a down year, goes to a new team, goes to a team that hasn't made the playoff in a dozen years, a team that hasn't won the division in 20 years. Yeah. And if he led them to a division title, I mean, the storyline is right there for him if he does have a bounce back year. I think he could have a shot.
Go ahead, Wiles. You literally raised your hand. So
I think I convinced you.
No, you didn't, but go ahead.
Can I just jump it? You are not picking the Jets to win the AFC East.
He might.
Can I just say something?
Right now, I'm not there.
Bro, we've worked together for 3 years. I've known you for 15 years, maybe. You were picking the Bills.
Okay. Well,
I'm 100% positive.
Okay, I'm
100%
positive. Your recent track record of 100% positivity is not great.
I'm 100% positive. You're not nice.
Again, and once again, now you're 0 for 3. So here's the thing. I think America is set how good Rodgers will be aside for a moment. I think America, led by Chris Broussard, is wildly overrating the Jets' offensive talent. Wildly. So let's just go through it. We all agree the offensive line could be a major problem. We all agree.
You basically stop your argument there.
No. But hold on. We all liked Breece Hall, who right now is not even on track to be able to play week 1. He's on the PUP list. He's a running back who was a rookie last year coming off an ACL. The tight end position is not one of their strengths at all. So then it gets to the receivers. Let's talk about the receivers. Their number 3 receiver, McCole Hardman, didn't have 300 yards last year, has never in his career had a 700-yard season. Never once. I like the guy. He's a chief. He's a champion. He made a great catch for us in the playoff game when he got hurt. But he is not some type of dynamic. He's a playmaker, but he's not a consistent playmaker. Their number 2, Alan Lazard, has had more than 550 yards one season ever, has always had great quarterbacks because he's always had Aaron Rodgers, has never had 800 yards. Oh, Nick, what about Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson is good. Is Garrett Wilson one of the 10 best number one receivers in the league? I don't know. I don't know. I can show you a blind reveal for Garrett Wilson against a player that, let's just show it. Do we agree, guys, that these two players have shockingly similar numbers except for touchdowns? Do we agree, Brew?
Yes.
Okay. That is, reveal it, please, Garrett Wilson and Christian Kirk. Nobody is out here saying Christian Kirk is a great receiver. Nobody is saying that.
You walked right into it. You said it on the T for me.
Okay, go ahead. What did I say?
Christian Kirk had the Prince throwing to him.
That's fine.
Who did Garrett Wilson have throwing to him?
And
Guys that aren't even close to the Prince.
So let's go to rookie receivers last year who had Andy Dalton and Desmond Ridder and Marcus Mariota throwing to him. Is Chris Olave? Are we sure Garrett Wilson's better than Chris Olave?
Well, Olave is a talented receiver.
Yes, that's the point. There's talented receivers all over the league. Here's my question.
He's better than Christian Kirk. Garrett Wilson?
I agree with that.
Okay.
But no one in the AFC for pass because the Jets' offensive strength is going to have to be their pass catchers, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do they have a better receiving core than Miami? Of course not. No. Cincinnati, no chance. The Chargers, no way. Right? So now we're at 3. The Raiders, no. The Jags, now that they've added Ridley with Kirk already there, I would say
we don't know what Ridley's going to be. It's been 2 years.
I think Ridley's going to be good, but you're right. We'll see. Buffalo with Diggs and the tight end that I know you love that they drafted, and Dawson Knox. Now we're at 6. What about the Chiefs, who have Travis Kelce as a pass catcher?
Yeah, he's good.
So my point is they are average at their best thing.
I wouldn't say average.
I just listed 7 teams, Brew. There's only 16 or 15, 16 in the conference.
They're
in the AFC.
I say they're with some of those lesser teams that you mentioned, like the 6, 7.
Yeah, that's okay.
But if the defense is that good, they can win games 17-14, and Aaron Rodgers can stack wins with 208 passing yards. That's my fear. See, Christina, I'm nice.
If Aaron Rodgers, like I said, if he's close to what he was 2 years ago, why can't they win?
Because guys other than Tom Brady don't get way older or approach 40, be injured, change teams, and have a resurgence at this position in this league.
He is an all-time great.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not just a guy that was pretty good.
I got it. Okay, listen, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
I don't either. So there you go.
You don't want to buy it.
But I don't. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards in 23 games.
Wild, you had an opportunity. I know you don't yell at Brew the way you yell at me, but he kind of questioned your integrity there when he said you don't actually
you are
believe
such a
this.
Patriots fan.
See, there you go.
The Jets could be 7-1, and you will still be saying
if they're 7-1. I will respect the Jets.
See,
but if they're 1-7, am I allowed to say, you know what?
If they're 1-7, yeah.
He's questioning.
For the record, also a Chiefs fan.
I wouldn't.
Coming up next, Bill Belichick puts to bed any rumors of a quarterback controversy.
He does the opposite.
That's how he talks.
Okay, well.
Next on FS1 and the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM.
Greetings, soccer fans. Are you ready for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup? As we are. That's right. Australia and New Zealand, look out. State of the Union is coming. And we'll be going above and beyond down under. We'll have new podcast episodes every single match day. So follow Alexi Lawless's State of the Union on the Fox app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to a dynastic show. I wonder if he's going to unleash this one. Turn down the volume on your... Yesterday, Belichick went on Sirius XM and said that the Patriots quarterbacks would get a chance to compete, and we'll see how it goes. And everyone started freaking out. By everyone, I mean Nick Wright. Maybe there's a QB battle. Maybe there's a QB controversy. Well, today, Bill Belichick clarified like only he could. Take a listen.
You were talking about the quarterbacks, and you said we'll give them a chance to compete and see how it goes. Is that implying that the quarterback job is kind of open for competition during camp?
Everybody's out here competing. It's all 90 guys. Yeah, that's what we're all here for. Just go out and compete.
So Mac Jones isn't necessarily your...
Everybody's out here competing. Like, everybody's out here competing. That's what everybody's doing.
Hello? That's how it works. Welcome, Coach Mangini. Coach, something or nothing, and I don't mean to step on your answer, but it's nothing.
Well, that answer is nothing, and that answer is the stock answer. And when I was first looking at it, I was wondering whether he was referencing directly to them or whether he was giving the standard like we're all here to compete, everybody's job is open. So that's nothing. But if you go back to what he said yesterday, that's something, and we have that. So this is where he's reacting specifically to them. We'll give them a chance to compete and see how it goes. So that's not the stock answer. And I don't remember many times where we were dealing with Tom Brady and he's saying, hey, we're going to give them a chance to compete, him and everybody else in the room. And really, last year, I don't remember him specifically saying, we're going to give them a chance to compete.
It was Mac's job.
And see how it goes. It was clearly Mac's job. So today it's nothing, and that's in response to the fallout from what he did say yesterday, where he specifically referenced the quarterbacks. And I would imagine that they are going to get a chance to compete.
Sure.
And not the stock way. They are going to get a chance to compete to see whether or not Bailey Zappi can beat them out.
That's totally fair.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second here. You got you didn't even think this should be in the show, and
tried to get it out of the show.
And you were convinced that Coach was going to come out here.
He basically said nothing.
No,
he said it's something.
That
He
answer
said
was nothing.
There you go.
But that was in reaction to yesterday.
Okay.
Competing.
Which was
hold on. Let me ask a
Go
question. What have we seen that demonstrates Belichick loves Mac Jones?
Who cares?
No.
What is it, Valentine's Day?
No, nothing. Dating back, and you killed me when I made a big deal of it when it happened, but dating back to the somewhat emasculating Wind game when Belichick wanted to make the point.
We beat the Bills.
Right. And you won the battle and you lost the war if the war was trying to develop a franchise quarterback. Because he's been a different player since then. But maybe that's not it.
Oh, well,
okay, that's fine.
Well,
no,
they
Coach,
lost
that's fine.
when they brought in Patricia.
Hold on, but that's fine. But okay, who brought in Patricia? Belichick. If you believe we have a future star quarterback, do you fool around with it like that? Probably not. This offseason, has Bill Belichick operated as a coach who believes we have a star franchise quarterback that needs to be nurtured? Of course not. Wilds, last year, when they did the Bears game, the back and forth,
that was
in
a disaster.
and out. Okay, would you do that to a franchise quarterback?
That was maniacal. That was a really bad decision making.
Bill's patience with quarterbacks is pretty small. This is the guy who cut Bernie Kosar in Cleveland. Yeah. There's no loyalty to that position. He eventually moved on from Tom Brady. So if you think Mac Jones, just because he had a little bit of success his first season with every possible advantage surrounding him as he came in, and then he goes out of the system and he kind of embarrasses Bill by looking for help and making his situation even worse. There's not a lot of like sitting back going, wow, that guy, I really want to go all in on him. And it's not like Mac has lit it up to the point where you should go all in on him. Like I get it.
Now, obviously, it's Belichick's decision, but there also was a lot of talk that Bill O'Brien, one of the reasons he came back was because of his relationship with Mac Jones and that he liked Mac Jones.
Yeah, Alabama.
Yeah, and he had worked with him before the draft. So, I mean, look, Jones should be the number one quarterback right now. Now, maybe he'll lose the job during the season, but I think he's even earned the number one job right now. I'm with you. A good rookie year. It's a horrible situation his second year. And you same thing with Trevor. Trevor was in a bad situation as a rookie, came back, had a great year. Mac had a good rookie year. Terrible situation. Correct. Just because of the OC was a DC.
Unfortunately, time moves in one direction.
Okay, so can I show you? Let's see how this competition is going, because I agree with Coach. And if it's an open competition, if Billy Zappi's out there throwing laser beams, he can start. That's fine. It's an open competition. It's a meritocracy in Foxborough. Here's the quote. Mac had a good offseason from Bill. He's one of our offseason award winners. He already won a trophy. Add it to your Pro Bowl certificate. First in, last out of the building. Really does a good job being on top of everything we're doing, so he can lead from the quarterback position in terms of play calling and those types of things. You know why? What he's referring to? That yoga he was doing when he's laying around on the ground. And then Mark Daniels is from today. Mac Jones' first 3 days of camp, 19:31. Not great. 2 INTs that we saw. Last 3 days, oh my gosh, 74%, I rounded up, 25 out of 34.
Do they not allow touchdowns at camp? I don't know. I'm not sure how it works.
Not with this defense.
I saw 0 in both of them.
Not with this defense.
So
it's fine. It's a non-story. He's starting. He's going to be great. We're all good.
I don't think it's a non-story. It's a non-story in the sense that it's a reality, and it's been a reality for a long time. And it was a reality when Mac didn't play well, and then Mac went out of the system. Like that, it became a reality last year as much as anything. And I don't know if Bill O'Brien came back because of Mac Jones. I find that hard to believe. He's like, oh, I'm going to come back into pro football just because of Mac Jones. I mean, Nick Saban is a pretty difficult guy to work, like challenging. You have to do like Bill may be like a little bit more relaxing from that environment, and he gets back into pro football.
If this is a race, the stagger that Mac Jones gets is massive. I get that. He starts, if they perform equally this offseason, Mac's the starter. Yes. If Bailey performs a little bit better, Mac's the starter. But if Mac Jones, when these were the numbers last year, we can show it to you. If Mac Jones this preseason turns the ball over repeatedly and Zappe doesn't, Zappe absolutely could be the week 1 starter. And if it's an
week
even
1 starter,
yes,
if he's abysmal,
Zappe,
of course.
and if Mac does not this preseason, if we could show the schedule, really separate himself from Zappe, then whoever the week 1 starter is will be somewhat irrelevant, because after the Eagles and Dolphins and Jets and Cowboys defense cut you up if Mac's turning the ball over, then Zappe will be the starter before Halloween. So, like, this is the idea that I just don't believe the Patriots have an entrenched starter.
Okay. When Mac Jones was healthy, he started every game. He had that injury that we were talking about him being out. He came back. He played. The Bears game was a disaster and made no sense and was inconsistent with Belichick when we were done. Then he started everything. When Cam Newton was getting benched all throughout that season, Cam Newton was always the starter. I think, Coach, and tell me if I'm wrong, as a benefit of the doubt to Bill O'Brien, they're going to keep one guy in and maybe go through some rough waters and stick with him.
What do you mean by benefit of the doubt?
He means because it'll help Bill O'Brien.
It'll reflect poorly on Bill O'Brien. It's like, all right, Bill, now you have another new quarterback. You're here for 4 games now, like we're going to bring in somebody.
I don't think he's worried about the benefit of the doubt for Bill O'Brien at all.
Okay.
If Bill thinks that Bailey Zappe is going to give him a better chance to win, he's going to play him. And what I'd say is, even if Mac Jones wins, the amount of leeway that he's going to be given is going to be extremely small. Oh. And so he may win out and he may start week 1, but he's going to have to show that he's made tremendous strides from last season and that the growth is continuing and that he can put some points on the board. Otherwise, it's a little bit of an arms race in that division. You've got a bunch of quarterbacks that can score points, and you've got some really good defenses. New England's going to have to put up some points to match these other teams.
You know what we should have probably done then? Given DeAndre Hopkins an extra $3 million. That worried about it. Hobbs, are we doing this other story or not?
Yes, we're doing it. Wiles is so bummed. He so thought you were
Turn our attention to Bill Belichick. 24th season as the Patriots head coach. He's won 71% of his regular season games in New England. Only 500 since Brady left. Also has most playoff wins of any coach ever, 31, but 0 since Brady left. Coach, I'll start with you again. There's Matt Patricia, so that's not recent. Are you buying Belichick is on the hot seat?
Yeah. So look, he's been 25-25 since Tom left. He hasn't had a 10-win season since Tom left. They haven't gone to the playoffs in 2 out of the last 3 seasons. He said that he spent the 27th most amount of money. Mr. Kraft said they've always given money. They asked Mr. Kraft what his expectations was. He said his 7th ring. So when you set the standard as it's excellence, then and if it's not excellent, we're going to cut you. So then the same, and if the standard is that, then he shouldn't be surprised if Mr. Kraft holds him to the same standard. And I don't know if 500 non-playoff football is considered excellent.
I don't understand. Does anybody think Tomlin should be on the hot seat? Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 5 years. They made the playoffs recently. That was the famous better than a bye game. It was not that dissimilar from the Patriots making it, and the Bills, it was better than a bye for the Bills. Why is Tomlin still considered awesome? because his defenses are great and because he's making the most that he can with mediocre quarterback play. Now, Big Ben is a Hall of Famer, but at the end, he was not great. Had a rookie in Kenny Pickett. I do like the sports movie component of Belichick getting knifed, right before getting Shula because he did that to so many people. I understand there is, some poetry to that, but I don't. We all think Tomlin's a great coach. All of us would say that if they said Tomlin's on the hot seat, if they don't win a playoff game this year, we'd say that's insane. Agreed. I don't understand why Belichick wouldn't get the same dispensation. I don't think he's underachieving.
To play Patriot football, and Patriot football is not 500 football. It's not missing the playoffs. It's not even being close to contention for the Super Bowl. That's not it. And Mr. Kraft has made a lot of decisions over time. He made the decision to bring Bill Belichick in and trade a first-round draft pick. He made the decision to keep Tom Brady when they wanted to get rid of him the first time, and they won a Super Bowl. He conceded on the decision to move on from Tom Brady, and Tom goes and wins a Super Bowl. So if Mr. Kraft is feeling like maybe this is time, the guy's got incredible instincts that have been proved over time, and there is a standard that's been set. And the standard is the standard, and you can't be surprised if you get the standard.
6 Super Bowls he's won. This is just the.
Hey, we're on to Cincinnati.
That's right. Go forward.
I get all that.
I think great. That's fantastic.
Nick didn't say it today, but I think Nick is right in that maybe they would take away some of the personnel decisions from him. But to stop him from coaching?
They think they could, split the baby.
I think they would like to see him break Don Shula's record in the Patriots uniform.
I can't wait to
That's
see
going to be 3 years.
They bring in to take away the personnel from Bill Belichick. I can't wait to see those. How are those draft meetings and free agency meetings going to work?
It's not going to work.
Hey, Bill,
you're wrong
on those players.
Oh, guys.
We're going to bring in
Coach,
these players.
Do you hear the music? We're about to talk about
coming up.
America's favorite team other than the Chiefs.
It's really England's favorite team.
Good point.
Hey, college football fans, Joel Klatt here, and I am so happy to announce my new interview series, The Joel Klatt Show Big Noon Conversations. Every Monday, we will bring you a candid conversation with the most influential voices in college football. From Colorado's Coach Prime to Coach Saban down in Tuscaloosa, we sit down and discuss all things college football. Download the Joel Klatt Show Big Noon Conversations wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to the new Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel.
Time to hit the Prince music. That's really wonderful from the national pastimes. Jaguars open their season on the road against the Colts offense. Travis Etienne, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, and Christian Kirk. Here's Kirk on his expectations for the offense. Take a listen.
Coach Peterson has said that he could see you guys adding 7 more points a game, going from 24 to 31. That would lead the league. Is that how good you think that you guys can be on offense?
Most definitely, and I think that's the goal. We step on this field to be the best offense in the league, and that's our mindset.
Yeah,
maybe.
Obviously, they can be the best offense in the league. Obviously, they can be the highest scoring offense in the league. Obviously, they can have the league MVP. Obviously, because of the division and the schedule, they could be a 13-win team. I don't want to say the 1 seed because you got to see, it's hard to be the 1 seed if someone else goes undefeated in the conference. But
13 wins.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, you guys feel free to be on the right side of the Trevor Lawrence story this year, or just be wrong in front of the trumpeters all year this year like you were last year.
I'll take my chances.
Year two of Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence coming off a brilliant second half of the season, an excellent postseason run.
What?
I'm sorry, he had a rocky first half hour in the playoffs,
and then he
had 5 touchdowns, 1 pick the rest of the way.
They had 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in the playoffs.
Yes, I understand.
50-50.
But it was 0 to 4
touchdown, he threw
in the first half
use that logic
of game
with Josh
1.
Allen.
We're not talking about
Josh Allen threw 5 interceptions in 2 games and 5 touchdowns.
By the way, last year, Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, both division winners, both won a playoff game, both lost in round 2. The difference was Trevor lost in round 2 on the road to the champs. Josh lost in round 2 by being blown out at home. So you guys just don't want to admit that Peyton Manning 2.0 has arrived, and that's what he is. And so, yeah, they're going to be really good.
Look, I like Trevor Lawrence a lot.
Okay.
No, I do.
mean, don't go there. That's also
and I
not
think
true.
they can. No,
You can't just say every guy he likes. You
I
can't say,
do
like him
like
too.
Trevor Lawrence, and I think they'll win the division. The problem is Nick goes overboard.
Did I go
Now
overboard last
call me
year?
crazy for thinking the Wig and the Bugle Boys is overboard.
Okay, those are
all right.
royal
that,
trumpeters.
You turn us against these guys, so to speak. I like Trevor. I just don't think they're going to have the best offense in the league. You ripped up the Jets receiving core. This is a great receiving core.
It's better than the Jets.
It's okay. How many Pro Bowls between those guys? All three of them.
Probably one with Calvin Ridley.
Ridley hasn't played in 2 years.
Well, does Ridley
He
have
hadn't
one or
played
not?
competitive football in 2 years. Let's see what he does. All right, so no, I'm not. I mean, the Chiefs, the
Ridley made a Pro Bowl.
Bills, the Eagles.
To make the jump to be the best offense in the league, I think is a pretty significant jump. And look, they were 10th in a lot of categories this past year. But there's some problems. Like one problem is they lost their starting tackle, so they're going to replace him with a rookie.
That one's tough.
And then their other tackle is suspended for the first 4 games, so he's going to be replaced by a guy who started a total of 6 games. So both tackles have a combined 6 games NFL experience to start the season. So that could be problematic.
Yeah.
You add Calvin Ridley. He hasn't played in 2 years. Hopefully, he's the guy that he was. But there's no guarantee that he is. And then with Trevor Lawrence, I know we want to anoint him, and I know we're going to talk a lot about him, but it's a little bit too early to start singing.
It's about to be too late.
Okay.
It's going to be too late soon.
Okay.
What do you mean?
And we're going to talk. We'll talk even more in depth about his ups and downs.
Yes.
I mean, if we did the same category that we did with Josh Allen, you'd just see the same pattern that you have.
Thank you, Coach.
With Trevor Lawrence.
It's a double standard.
Let's see whether or not there can be some consistency with his performance as opposed to the roller coaster ride that he's had.
It is not a double standard. It is one guy on the NFL Top 100 came in 93rd. The other guy has finished top 5 multiple times. So yes, of course, I held Josh Allen to a standard of consistent excellence because he was the MVP favorite, your MVP pick. People were saying he might be the best quarterback in football.
Yeah, with 13
The standard is fine, but what you're measuring him by is inconsistency. So if inconsistency dings this guy, then inconsistency should ding the other guy too.
I get it. Guys, if the point is Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen are equals, then I've won the argument already.
No,
that's not the table.
Okay, well then I don't follow it. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Once again, where are the trumpeters? I hope they're warming up. Because you guys must forget when you bent the knee on national television.
I did not do that.
Run the tape. He bent the knee. We saw him do it. He bent the knee.
Well, did you bend the knee? I didn't bend. This was a big day.
Head to Buffalo, where the Bills have got themselves a Lombardi trophy. Now, it's not a real one. It's just plastered on their wall. But Ben Volen of the Boston Globe asked McDermott about it, and he said, "It's just a daily reminder of what we're here to do and what we're trying to accomplish, and more than anything internally, it's to keep us focused on that through the course of the season, when that can get clouded with the journey." Coach, I could see you loving this. I could also see you hating this. Where are you at?
I'm somewhere in between. I appreciate this. I appreciate what he's trying to do because it's hard to motivate a group, and it's hard to consistently refocus a group on what's important. However, each time, the times when I've been around it and it's been really good and really successful, the focus was never at the peak. It was always at the next step. And when people talk about the climbing mountains, I mean, most of those guys that scale those giant mountains, they're just talking about the next foothold that they have to get to move up, and not about the summit. So I think that's a problem. And when you have something like this, and everybody's trying to get the Lombardi Trophy, every team is, that's the goal. And if it doesn't go well and you're getting into those moments, what's reminding you about what's important, which is the next step? And it could be like a tattoo. You've seen those tattoos that people get sometimes where, you know, after they get it, they just feel like, why did I do it? You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have regrets, and you don't want to have to live with that giant banner if it goes tough.
I hear you, Coach. Yeah, look, worry, like, you can lose sight of the journey, right? Like, it's one game at a time. But overall, I like it. I like it. Like, I think a team that hadn't made the playoffs for so many years before McDermott got there, then he, makes them a perennial contender. That can feel like a sense of accomplishment. And this is saying, no, we haven't done anything yet. This is the goal. And I love that, Wild. Okay. What are you shaking your head for?
Why don't they put up 2 then?
Because you got to get 1 first.
Exactly.
And it's fresh. You said, it's tough to motivate guys. They've got essentially the same team, and you need something fresh and something new to just say this is a different year. I love it.
Put up 6, like we're chasing the Patriots. We want you to be like, that's ridiculous. Well, so is 1.
It's just like they watch this. They have no shot.
It's just life imitating art. It's so great. We gave the Bills banners they hadn't quite earned, and now they're giving themselves banners they haven't earned. It's beautiful.
Head out to San Francisco, where Trey Lance is backing up Brock Purdy and maybe Sam Darnold too. Here's John Lynch.
I know there's been a lot of talk about the opportunities he's not getting. I'm proud of him for what he's doing with the opportunities he is getting. And, there's a plan. He'll continue to earn these opportunities, and he'll have plenty to show who he is.
Okay. Mike Silver, San Francisco Chronicle, writing, worst case, the 49ers could cut Lance.
Okay.
And yes, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but this scenario is not outside the realm of possibility.
Come on, man. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen, Coach.
Which part?
The Trey Lance was drafted from a 1AA school having not played a year. Mm-hmm. They knew that. His rookie season, he played in a total of 2.5 games aside from like a rush here. Really started 2 games and was forced into action. In those 2.5 games, he had 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, a 97 rating, and ran for 168 yards. Threw for an average of 200 yards a game and ran for an average of 55 yards a game. That was his entire rookie season. His second year, this is the last pass he threw. I'm going to show it to you if we have it. I think we do. I'm sorry. There's the last couple of passes. They're not great. The reason I'm showing it to you is you see how you can barely see the screen?
Yeah.
It's because they were in a monsoon. And here's how the game ended, with guys doing belly flops on the field. That's it. The next game, he broke his leg. So how, Coach, can they be out on him? How can he be
They
done?
see him in practice every day.
The thing you wonder is this a personnel decision, not a coaching decision? Because the only person that ever really talks glowingly about Trey Lance is John Lynch. Do you ever hear Shanahan talking about how good Trey Lance is doing, or how much progress he's making, or the opportunities that he's going to get, or the things that, the way he's working in the classroom? He talks. Who does he talk about? He talks about the guy they just brought in.
Sam Darnold.
He compares Sam Darnold to Steve Young, not the other kid.
And he loved Brock Purdy.
As this plays out, and the praise only comes from the personnel department and never from coaching, you start to think, well, maybe on draft day, coaches wanted one guy, personnel wanted another. Personnel had final say. They picked him. Now he's not been great, so it's very easy for coaching to say, okay, well, we've got Brock Purdy, and we're going to move forward with him. Sometimes that's how it plays out in the long term.
Nick, it does seem like they could cut him. I mean,
he got guaranteed money, so that you'd gain nothing
by cutting. But like what? He's played 5 games in 4 years, including Division I AA. And you always talking about Trevor Lawrence and his high school, CYO, Pop Warner, all that. Brock Purdy, even though he was Mr. Irrelevant, was a better prospect. So, I mean, I don't know what type of potential he has. Clearly, Shanahan's not enthralled with him.
I just
didn't trade up multiple picks to get him at 3-2.
But let's say they traded all those picks and took Mac. Someone was taking Trey Lance in the top 20. Mm-hmm. He has not been given an opportunity. And I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying most jarring instances of just wasted opportunity that I can imagine.
What if Purdy is special? I mean,
he's not.
Well, he might be.
He's not going to know.
Okay,
he had the best passer rating in the league in the 9 games he played.
You can still find out that he's special while giving Trey Lance a role.
Yeah.
And
let's see where Purdy is on the QB pyramid.
I mean, they see him in practice.
The practices must be bad. Welcome back to the show.
Way to go.
It's time for a new segment called Nick's QB Pyramid. And just to let you under the hood a little bit, we're looking for a Tuesday franchise, and this might be it. 28 quarterbacks in a pyramid. Sam Howell, not on the list, however. Spoiler alert. to my dismay and protest. Sorry about that. But again, it's a work in progress, and we're trying our best. Next time, he won't be admitted. Nick, take it away.
Also, by the way, I'll just be honest. We were going to wait until I got the official trademark of the name to call it this, but QB Pyramid, also known as Mahomes Mountain. Imagine it as a mountaintop. You're trying to get up to the top where Mahomes is going to reside all year long. So here's the deal. Rookies are ineligible for the pyramid until they play their first game, unless they are such a no-brainer, can't miss, like Trevor obviously wouldn't have been ineligible. None of the rookies this year are in that category. So those 4 guys, don't look at them as bottom-tier guys. They're just not on there yet. 28 spots on a 7-level pyramid or Mahomes Mountain, so a couple guys get left out. Sorry, Desmond Ridder. Sorry, Sam Howell. You're not on there. Bottom row. Here we go. Howell and Ridder out. These are all either young, unproven guys like Jordan Love or Kenny Pickett, or guys that could lose their job at any moment, like McCorkle, Baker, Russell Wilson, those guys. And listen, Wilds likes Brock Purdy. I'm not as high on Brock Purdy. Brew, once again, you look like you bit into a sour pear.
Is that Russell Wilson, 9-10?
You keep throwing this.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer?
That was so what?
He's with the quarterback whisperer, Sean Payton.
Okay.
The offensive line is improved.
Yeah.
He had, there were what did Sean Payton say? Dozens of hands with dirt on them around.
The 2 biggest were his.
I'm not saying he should be top 5 or 10.
Okay.
But bottom tier?
Bottom tier.
Russell Wilson?
He's outside of the top 20. Okay.
You will eat your
I'm very curious on this next tier who you would have Russell Wilson out of. These guys are right around the top 20. Would be guys, I guess, 16 through 21. We can reveal it now. They can be competent, even at times excellent, but they're impossible, any of them, to rely on or fully believe in. All of them at various times we've seen them, oh my God, that was a great game. But week to week, there is no consistency. Once again, why is Brew on camera?
Well, the guy I'd put Russ ahead of is Kyler Murray right now. And is that Jimmy G?
Yes.
Jimmy G?
You want Jimmy G higher? Brew, you don't even believe in him.
Can I see the graphic?
Oh, no.
The graphic says it all. Montana, Peyton, and Jimmy G.
Okay, so you have. So why
I'm just saying he wins games.
So the Raiders, you think, are going to be above 500?
I don't believe in the coach.
Okay, well,
I don't believe in the coach, but it won't be Jimmy G's fault.
Okay,
That's
so
all I'm
Jimmy
saying.
G. I just want you to understand the math.
Cats.
I just want you to understand the math. Everyone above him, there's only 15 people above him. So you think Jimmy G's top 15 quarterback? You think he's better than all those guys?
I'm just saying these tiers are...
Well, they're levels of a pyramid. They're not
strange.
Tiers are on Wednesdays. 5th row, these are all top 15 guys. The toughest one to rank was Justin Fields. I understand some people are saying he could be league MVP this year. I don't buy that. I do buy they invested in the offensive line. They added DJ Moore. They've given him more weapons. He is dynamic running the football, and he was so great. And I know you guys kill me on this in high school and college. I want to believe in him. But so this is, to me, a fair ranking for him. Everyone else can definitively win you games. We have seen them do it in their career. Stafford won you a Super Bowl. I'm worried about him with the injury. Tua obviously rewarded with the injury. Cousins and Geno both were excellent in the regular season last year, but they're just outside the top 10. All right, next row. These are top 10 guys. Not top 5 guys, but top 10 guys. Rodgers felt too high to me, but I couldn't put any of the guys a row below him above him. Tua maybe, but Tua's health is such a concern. You can't knock Rodgers for the playoff stuff and then put Cousins out of him. So Rodgers in a fair spot. Dak, Herbert, and Lamar speak for themselves. Excellent players. You can absolutely win games, you can win games because of them, I should say, but not quite a top 5-ish guy. So here we go. These are the true stars. Superstars even. Even though there are some real valleys, the peaks are so incredibly high.
This is just,
and I understand people are like, wait, is that Caleb Williams? Is that a USC jersey? It is. And I know Coach Mangini and others would rather be 6 hours late for the train than a touch early. But I tell you, the moment Caleb Williams got his first college football action, the moment, stepping on the field of the biggest rivalry in college sports, as a freshman, Oklahoma, Texas, down 21, and led them to a comeback, I said, that player right there reminds me of a certain someone. Patrick bleeping Mahomes. And much like Mahomes, you knew it immediately when you saw it. He then went to USC, won a Heisman Trophy. He right now is one of the 10 best quarterbacks alive. You can't convince me otherwise. Top 2, second row, self-explanatory. It's guys we've seen before. Tom Brady 2.0 and Peyton Manning 2.0. Unfortunately for them, instead of them just having a rivalry, they have to deal with Godzilla 1.0 at the very top of the mountain, Patrick Mahomes. So there it is. There is your quarterback pyramid, the Mahomes mountain, if you will.
Mahomes mountain.
People can, be controversial about Caleb Williams. That's fine. But there it is. Everything else, I think, Coach, you're going to agree with entirely.
Yeah, this is a lot like watching preseason football. Like, you watch it because it's football, but it's really bad. And when you put
well said.
You put the Prince in the second tier, I don't know. First of all, Caleb Williams. So we can't put rookies on it because they haven't played the first game.
I said unless they were
we
total
can put Caleb. We can put this guy on
and
it,
he's
even though he's in college. That's a little ridiculous.
Okay.
But now we put the Prince there, and we want to anoint him king so early. And what did he do last year? In his 2 playoff game, he had a 70 quarterback rating, which was 20 points lower than his average for the year. In his last 5 games, final 3 regular season games and 2 playoff games, he has the same number of picks as he has interceptions. And we can as touchdowns as interceptions. And so you want to compare him to Peyton Manning. I was there and coaching against Peyton Manning his rookie year in 1998.
Yeah.
And the first time we played him, we blew him up, beat him 44-6. And in the second game, he orchestrates a great 2-minute drive and beats us with 30 seconds left on the clock. That's who he was. So I know we got to throw out his rookie season, right? Because the coach was bad, everything was bad. We throw that out, and then we're going to throw out the early games of the season, even though they were 3-7 through 10 games. We'll throw out those games, and then we're going to throw out the 5 or the 4 interceptions.
He had the greatest comeback in the 4th greatest comeback in playoff history.
Because he had one of the worst first halves in playoff history.
Okay, but he still came back.
But that's not.
Hey, Coach.
That's not.
How did Peyton look?
How did Peyton?
Okay, no. Didn't call him a king. He's literally called the Prince. It says the Prince.
Yeah, but
that's first of all.
A heartbeat away from being the king.
Well, no. Well, the king, long live the king above him. By the way, you notice how the king beat all the quarterbacks beneath him en route to his championship. Burrow, Prince, and Hurts. Didn't get a chance to play Caleb Williams. Josh Allen lost too early. But on Trevor Lawrence, you said all these great things about Peyton Manning early in his career. What you didn't mention was the playoffs, because he didn't win a playoff game until year 6. He was 0-3 his first 3 playoff games with a passer rating of 59. So don't give me this idea that because Trevor Lawrence had a bad half of his first playoff game and then was brilliant thereafter and then had the audacity to lose to Patrick Mahomes that we're going to ding him. The guy's great. You guys are just going to be late on it. That's fine. Go ahead.
The disrespect.
To whom?
Just having Caleb Williams on there, and look again,
he was on the show. Remember?
I like I know he was on the show, and I like Caleb Williams. I don't know if this is an early.
Why does he like everybody?
No, he's a good quarterback.
He's a great quarterback.
But he shouldn't. He's ahead of Lamar Jackson, unanimous MVP.
Yeah, I'd rather.
Who's won 75% of his games?
Caleb's never
That's
lost
ridiculous.
That's true.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm not going to go to Aaron Rodgers, but even Justin Herbert, who has proven himself in the NFL. Nick, I'm not saying he's not going to be great, but we don't know.
We do know.
No, we don't.
Okay, so
we've seen tons of guys who are highly touted fail in the NFL.
Brew, have you ever heard of the giss of a bird? So, like, professional bird watchers can be looking at the horizon and just I'm not making this up, swear to God, and just see almost like the outline of a bird and somehow can identify it because they've been doing it their whole lives.
Sure.
That's how I am with the great ones.
Oh. Really?
Yes.
Because the guy that was, if you give me the whole tier.
I've been with you a long time. You've identified a lot of penguins.
No.
Right. What Baker Mayfield supposed to be a great one? Didn't you identify Baker Mayfield as that?
Yeah, no. I did not say
I think we still got it. I think we still have this. Since you brought it up, Mr. Bird Watcher, that's your guy.
I didn't bring it up.
That's the last shadow you saw.
Can you guys wait a second, please? I have, since you guys have known me, identified 2 quarterbacks as all-timers. Mahomes, the Prince, and now Caleb. And if we can show Mahomes, because Coach was with me for this, it was Mahomes' rookie season, both his preseason, this moment right here. I went on TV the next day and I said, the Chiefs have a great quarterback. And Coach said, oh my God, one preseason throw. And then week 2 of his rookie season, week 3, pardon me, he did this. And coach was like, oh, I think they need to keep him in the pocket, which he said about Mahomes for 7 years later, 2 Super Bowls.
I love
it.
I love it.
Oh, coach was there. Wait, coach. And then the following week, week 4 of his rookie year on national television, he did this, and I went on TV and said, I think he's already the best quarterback in the league. And everyone told me to calm down, pump your brakes, let him do some things, and smash cut 6 years later, he's at the top of a mountain named after himself. So I'm just calling my shot on Caleb Williams.
What week did he get smoked by the Patriots in that?
Oh my God! Yikes. Give me a break. Smoked is. I think they won by 3. But go ahead, coach. Or go ahead.
I didn't see that clip.
Sorry,
my last one.
That clip.
This is we don't need the Baker T-shirt.
No, we don't.
I'm surprised you still had that.
Yeah.
My final addition to Mahomes Mountain, which I do love.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Jared Goff.
Oh, thanks.
Well, here's the thing about Jared Goff. Everyone's like, Jared Goff's no good. Until you actually look at the numbers, and I know you're a numbers guy. Let's look at the numbers that Jared Goff put up last year. His TD to interception ratio was first.
Pretty good.
6th in passing yards. He was tied for 3rd with 300-yard games in passer rating. And that's your big picture.
Yeah.
When you talk about the success of the Prince, we look at a 9-game sample. So I asked Josh, we were grinding tape. This is the same 9-game sample.
This is great.
Completion percentage a little bit down.
No, it's great.
But higher yards,
right
15 yards. Perfect. And now he's got the same OC. That offense was 4th in yards, 5th in points. And he's working with Ross St. Brown. And he's throwing the ball not blindfolded. The blindfold would have been nice, more Cedric Ceballos style, just with his eyes closed. Yeah. I think it's time for us all to recalibrate what we think about Jared Goff, where everyone kind of put him on the scrap heap, and say, you know what?
That's why
elite quarterback.
Elite. Okay, that's too much. And
what do you want me to do? He's got the same numbers as Jared Goff, as the Prince.
Yeah, but one guy's got
a bigger neck. That's literally one guy's going to the Super Bowl.
Come on.
One guy's going to the Super Bowl.
Goff is properly rated. He's right. He's properly rated. He's right there with Geno.
Next week it will be updated. That's our new franchise, Mahomes Mountain. Hope you enjoyed it. A little long, but we did all right. Working on it. Rodgers.
Workshopping it.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show. Aaron Rodgers sat down with Peter King for a wide-ranging interview when he talked about how he was deciding, leaning towards retirement, how he feels about the Jets, the pay cut, all of it. Well, now he's back and happy and has the 8th best MVP odds. So, Coach, is it more likely the Jets as a team overachieve or underachieve?
Well, it's going to be hard for them to overachieve because the expectation is that they win the Super Bowl. Or let's say it's not that. Maybe the expectation is they go to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. The expectation is definitely that they win the AFC East. The expectation is definitely that they go deep into the playoffs. And I don't think that's an unfair expectation when you've got a guy a year removed from back-to-back MVPs, when you've got a guy who's got players he likes, he's got a coordinator that he's worked with, they're running the system they have, he's been there for the entire offseason, they've had time to put things in, you've got the 4th best defense in terms of points allowed, you've got a good young running game, everything is aligning for them to go deep into the playoffs. So that's expectations. So unless they hit that bar, which there's going to be some bumps along the way, then they're going to.
So can I ask you a question? So let's say they go 11-6, which I think everyone, or the 3 of us, would consider that a good year, correct? But that doesn't win them the division. The Bills are 12-5, Dolphins 12-5. They're 11-6, so they're the top wild card team. So they have a road playoff game, division winner. Call it Cincinnati wins the tough AFC North. They go to Cincinnati and lose in the wild card round at 11-6. Do you think that there will be casualties from that season? Because I would consider that a really good season.
Well, it'll depend on how the playoff game finishes. It'll depend how the season finishes. It's not necessarily how they start. It's just going to depend on what that taste is at the end.
But you think that...
So if they go get blown out in the playoffs, yeah, they'll probably be casualties. If they somehow... It's just what the narrative is at the end of the season. When the owner's sitting there looking at, I've got this special player that was missing from this whole formula that I've had in place, and we can only achieve at this level.
But I guess, Mike, there's a scenario where they make the playoffs and the season is still looked at as a disappointment.
Yeah, if they sneak into the playoffs If they are barely making
look
the playoffs,
bad in the playoffs,
or look bad in the playoffs and get blown out, it could absolutely be a disappointment, and justifiably so. What are they really missing for them not to be able to compete with every other team?
I think if they get to the playoffs and win a game, and you're right, I mean, how it looks can affect it, but I think that'll be considered a success. I mean, they've been so bad for so long. And I think if Rodgers plays well, say they win a playoff game, people will look at it like, okay, next year we're winning the Super Bowl. And I get some people are throwing that out.
Person that needs to look at it.
If he's thinking
it's the
Super
owner.
Bowl.
Yeah,
he might be thinking Super Bowl, like dreaming of a Super Bowl, but I just think they've been, what's it been, 12 years since they made the playoffs?
There's only one person whose dreams count. His. That's it. It doesn't matter what the fans are dreaming of. It doesn't matter. It matters what Woody Johnson is dreaming of. And he's dreaming of a Super Bowl. And they're in a position where they should be able to compete for a Super Bowl. So it's not unrealistic.
I've heard you talk about this with Colin, actually, but we haven't talked to you much about it. How good do you think they're going to be? Like, I think you're higher on the Jets, certainly, than me and Wilds. No. Brew, I think, has them going 15-2.
I think I'm higher on Aaron Rodgers than you guys are. I've been higher on Aaron Rodgers for a long time. But the question that I have is, this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs. This is the team that finished last in the division. This is a team with skyrocket expectations, and justifiably so. How are they going to deal with the first bout of adversity? How are they going to deal with a 2-game losing streak? How are they going to deal with if things don't start the way that they hope they start? Are they going to implode and have infighting and be and eat sort of
eat their own?
Yeah, eat their own, or are they going to rally behind the quarterback that they have and the players that they have and come out of it? That's my biggest question mark, is here's a team who doesn't know success. How are they going to deal with success, and how are they going to deal with adversity?
Monday night, and it's hosting the Bills. If that goes poorly, you think they're going to be like, you know what? Long season, fellas.
Well, it should also be. Well, the other thing is, with this many young players, it also, I think, is worth noting that they finished the year on a 6-game losing streak. So the Bears had a longer one. I think the Cardinals.
They had the worst quarterback rating combined of any team.
No. I totally get that. My point is, with the brutal, tough start of the season, having finished last season with 6-game losing streak, if you're Sauce Gardner, you know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden, I've lost 9 games in a row. You know what I mean? For young players who haven't had a sense of success, that would be one of my bigger concerns for them. Yeah, Wilds is waiting for it to implode. That's Wild's Super Bowl. The day the Jets are eliminated from playoff contention is Wild's Super Bowl. That's what it is.
That's true. Not going to
talking soccer next.
Not going to help the page.
Earlier this morning, USA played Portugal to a 0-0 draw. They are on to the knockout rounds. That's the good news. The bad news is they didn't look very good at all. After the game, former USA player Carly Lloyd was not happy with the result and the attitude of the team. Here's Lloyd and head coach Vlatko Andonovski with his response. Take a listen.
Carly Lloyd's butt would be back in the locker room kicking things, throwing things.
I have never witnessed, and just seeing these images for the first time right now on the desk, I have never witnessed something like that. There's a difference between being respectful of the fans and saying hello to your family, but to be dancing, to be smiling. I mean, the player of the match was that post. You're lucky to not be going home right now.
To question the mentality of this team, to question the willingness to win, to compete. I think it's insane.
Okay.
Yeah, listen, I was not as bothered as Carly Lloyd was by the American players trying to celebrate advancing and by giving the fans who were there in half a world away some FaceTime with them. What is true is, and Wilds, to your credit, you tried to sound the alarm after the first game, their only victory, that they didn't look that sharp. They played terribly this morning. We're lucky to very lucky. You saw the shot off post that could have sent them home. They were this far from being knocked out. And by the way, the markets agree, because for the first time all tournament, they're no longer the favorites. They're not even the second favorites to win the whole thing. They're probably going to be facing Sweden in the knockout round. They're going to have to be exponentially better because they just haven't played well. I didn't really care about the post-game stuff.
Here's the numbers on our time in the group stage. Against Vietnam, we won possession and we had plenty of shots. Vietnam couldn't get a shot. Netherlands, we lost possession, had more shots. Portugal lost possession, still had more shots. So, Brew, we're getting shots. We just can't finish. So hopefully, this, like you said, this is a wake-up call. Put the ball in the back of the net.
Hopefully it is a wake-up call. I'm kind of with Carly Lloyd. I didn't really like the postgame, but you know what? I think it was relief.
Yes.
Okay? There was relief that they survived and advanced, and now hopefully we see
no
the best
Rose
side.
Lavelle for the next game because she picked up her second yellow. That's not great, and I know people have
Why didn't more Trinity Rodman?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Make it happen. Speak is up next.